Okay, so now we're going to get onto a part that we're really going to be able to personalize. So we're getting onto the pen tool. This is a big thing to learn in Illustrator, and it will enable you to do lots of different interesting shapes. So if you get up the pen, brush and pencil smooth tool worksheet, and then we're going to go to the path and anchor point, which is the first sheet, and I just want you to highlight them with your select tool, and you can see there that is a line drawn by the pen tool with different anchor points. So you can see it's got 5 anchor points. If we go across to our blob here, we can see all the different anchor points all around here. Now if we click that off, so if you go up and you see your handles, you just need to press show handles. So here you can see all the different anchor points of this object that using the pen tool has been used. So if we zoom out and we go down to R, the letter R, that again has been used using the pen tool, and we can see again the anchor points and the handles that have been used to create this shape. Now if we go across, this object here, as you can see, has a lot of lines, and this is used using the pencil tool. Now we're going to learn about that later. This video we're just going to be focusing on the pen tool. Okay, now we're going to be using the pen tool. I want you just to move your cursor over, and you'll see the pen tool there. If you click that, right click, and then over here we've got that little arrow bar. That's going to let you leave that pen tool box for quick reference. Now the pen tool shortcut is just pressing P on the keyboard. So as you can see, we can go to the select tool, and then we'll press P and go to the pen tool, Z to zoom in, and then we'll go P to go to the pen tool, and we'll simply trace this line and click off. And you just click off, you can just press escape. Now if we look over on the fill, you can see there's no fill and it's both transparent. So if we click that and play around with that, you can see that you can change the fill and the stroke of your line. Coming over here, change that to green, and then we can swap it, and that will change to green there. So for ours, we just want to go no fill, and we'll choose black. So you can play around with that, but that's quite important to remember when you're drawing lines. Okay, so now we're over to this next shape here. If we just start drawing and tracing the outline of this one, and you can see we go around there. Now if you want to draw a straight line and you want to go at different angles, if you press shift, you can see how it will find either the 90 degree or the 45 degree or the 180 degree off that previous line. So if we want to go straight up and we're a bit unsure, just press shift, click down, and that will draw that line there for you perfectly straight. Now using that shift button, I just want you to finish off this shape. So press your shift, press it again to get that perfect line. Bit unsure, just press shift. Bit unsure again, press that shift. Now to close off this shape, just press escape off your button, and you'll see the cursor hovering around here. Now as you can see now, it's just a star. If you put your cursor over the right anchor point, you can see it turns into a dash. So if you look at that again, it goes from a star to a dash. You click on that anchor point, and that's going to go off that line. Now to bring that up to the top, you'll see a 0 appear, and that's telling you that that's going to join with that next anchor point to form that shape. Now this shape is now different to this. This is a line, whereas now here we've actually made a new shape in Illustrator called a vector shape. Now with our document, if we then press A, which is that direct selection tool, this one up the top here, direct selection tool, which is A on your keyboard, you can grab any anchor point and play around with the shape and really get it to the size that you want. Now if we go over to our pen tool, we can add anchor points, which is the plus on your keyboard, or you can just choose it off the control panel, and we're going to add an anchor point here. I've already done that, so let's just do it down here, and then we're going to go A to go to our direct selection tool, and we can grab that anchor point and completely change that line. Over here we're just going to move that to there. Now following this, you may want to get rid of an anchor point. So again, we go up to our control panel and we've got the delete anchor point tool, which is just minimize the minus button on your keyboard as a shortcut. Now we're going to go over carefully and we're going to delete that anchor point, click on that, and that's made that shape there. So that's the way to delete an anchor point. So you now know how to add one and delete one. Now if we come over to this blob here, you can see the anchor points. I'm just going to zoom in one more time, and you can see all these anchor points here. Now this is when it gets quite tricky. We're going to use the pen tool, and what you're going to do, you're going to find that first anchor point, and you're going to keep your your left mouse button down, and you're going to create a line like so. We're then going to go to this next anchor point and pull that. Now ideally you need to keep these lines as straight as possible. So you don't want it like that, you need it like this. And then we're just going to keep going, and we're going to draw that entire object. Now this takes a lot of skill, so don't stress if it's not perfect, and we can fix it up at a later stage. So now that we've drawn our blob to the best that we can choose these anchor points by selecting the select tool, which is A, and you move those lines and manipulate them to what you want the line to be. So you want to try and keep that line as parallel with the other line as possible. So as you can see, that really brings that in to get that shape that we wanted. So we're going to bring that down, that's going to come down to form that shape, and you just keep playing around with that. It's a bit of skill involved here, but you can do it. Now a slightly easier way to do this is grab your pen tool, which is P, and we're simply going to trace from anchor point to anchor point around this object. Now when we're doing objects, you want to have the least amount of anchor points as possible to do your shape, to make it nice and easy. So there is my rough outline of the shape. Now I want you to go to this tool, which is anchor point tool, which is Shift plus C, and we can create anchor points off our object. Now this way is a bit easier than the previous method. Still takes a little bit of practice, but if you find this easier, definitely use this method of doing things. And again, you just want to keep those lines as parallel as possible. Okay, now we're going to draw this simple letter, lots of anchor points, so just remember to follow the trace and it will be nice and easy. So we want to start at the first one, and this one doesn't need much explaining, just follow that around. If you can remember from the previous video, when you want these straight lines, just press Shift while you're doing it and you're going to get perfect straight lines. Really makes it a lot easier. Shift there. Now coming up to this last bit, if you say you didn't press Shift and you went off to there and you didn't have the right angle that you wanted, what you can do is you go to your direct selection tool, which is A, select both those anchor points, and you've got your control panel here, so we're just going to go horizontal align, and that's going to make them align to a perfect 45-degree angle here, 90-degree angle. Now to fix these R curves, again, you just want to go to your anchor point tool, find the anchor point and drag that off, keeping them nice and small. Don't over drag these out, guys. Just remember that they work with each other, so you need both to sync with each other, and you can slowly play around with that and get the curvature that you want. And then you can begin to finish off that R. Okay, so now we're going to attempt to draw this eye. Please have a go at it yourself if you're confident without having to watch the video. Easiest way is grab your pen tool and do that line, and then we're going to go across and grab our anchor point, create an anchor point there. Again, it's always going to be 2, so you don't have to go massive on 1. And we can move them. Okay, got our last one here, the anchor point. Again, remember these anchor points work with each other, so you always have to do 2. And finally, we're just going to add these eyelashes. Easiest way is just to do 1. Grab your anchor point. Get it into a slight curve that you like. And now that you've got your eyelash, you just go to your direct action tool, which is your A. You can make that, select it, Command C, Command V, and you got 2 to, and you go another one. Now we've got our eye here. Now we're going to go down, and the first shape to making this eye is this semi-rectangle here. To do this part, you're just going to grab your pen tool, really trace that outline up to there. You see it goes 0. Now you're going to grab your anchor point tool and go off like so. Now to get rid of these, you just bring that in, find that, bring that in, and bring that in. That's just simply selecting the outline here. We want to make that bit of a curve there, spin that around to make that curve, and then we just want to get rid of this anchor point there to straighten that up. And there you have it. Now, if we remember, everything's done in layers, so we're going to select that, and you can see that that actually has no fill. Now, when we do the eyeball, that is going to disappear on us. So we want to go that and go to the default fill, and we want that as white. Now, to do this, we simply just press default fill. So that's going to make that so we can still see it. Okay, so now that we've got our shape there, we're going to go back to what we know already with the ellipse tool. We're going to simply just draw out our circle. Shift, which is that scale tool, to get it to the size that you really want. Now you can see that it's see-through. We want to go down there and flip that, and we want to make that black. So now again, we've lost the shape that we've just made earlier. So again, if you can remember, we go arrange, and we want to send that to the back. Okay, we'll try that again. So ellipse tool, get that. There's no fill in that now, so we just want to get that fill, and we want to bring that over, scale it, so that's your shift button. You can remember, make that bigger, bring that in, and we're just going to send that to the back with that fill. Now we'll click that off, and all we do now is simply make another circle. And what you can do here, now we've made that into two, a second circle, and you select both and you just want to align that to the center. like so, and we'll click off that. Now what you want to do is fill this with no fill, white, sorry, and then the background you can have whatever colour you like. You can make the colour of your eye if you would like, and there you go. There is our eye.